All right guys, Brandon here. I'm here to do a little tour of the garage slash shop. I've had a lot of people ask about it when clients come over and look and they see how the garage is set up. They're always curious as to what all I've got in here. So why don't I show you? So first off, this is not a big shop. I'd love to have one. Of course I would, but this is a 19 by 22 attached garage to my house. Built the house in 2014, had a 9.5 foot tall truck, had Project Decade, and I was like, oh, I'll never use the garage like that. It'll just be storage and junk. Truck wouldn't fit in the garage, so didn't really do much. Well, fast forward to 2018, I decided to take a break from doing SEMA stuff and build out the garage. Well, really wasn't no building because it was already sheetrocked and all that stuff, but I did add all the lights. I've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 of the 4-foot double row LED lights in the ceiling, and I've got 4 in the walls. 2 on the front wall that's behind me and 1 on either side. Those are on a separate switch. That allows for detailing to get a little extra light in here. On top of the lighting, I also have race deck flooring. I've got black around the outside, I've got a ring of red, and I've got gray and silver. It's seen its fair share of abuse. I've detailed, I've polished, we've worked on stuff. We've done about everything in this garage slash shop. So it shows a little wear, yeah. I've had a couple that's been burnt, messed up before. Well, for those, I wound up just swapping them out, got with race deck, ordered the replacements for what I need. They simply pop out with a putty knife, put on a couple sides, pop it out, replace the one that's bad. No big deal. So adding the flooring in here created a more of a shop look than just a standard concrete floor. I looked at doing epoxy coating, but for my needs and actually for the price point as well, race deck seemed to be a better fit than the epoxy. I like the look of the epoxy, but I also love the look of the race deck. When you clean it up, it tends to have a showy look to it. I have neighbors walk by all the time with their dogs or just out for an afternoon stroll and, oh my gosh, I love your garage. What's in the floor? How'd you do the floor? I explained to them it's, individual tiles put in. If you go back on my YouTube, I actually have a time lapse of when me and a couple buddies installed all that. So adding the race deck to the garage, wall to wall, everything's covered. There's a couple little spots under the water heater that's not covered, but you don't ever see that, it's hid anyway. So I guess kind of let's get into some of the stuff that's in the garage. So first off, the thing people notice is when you look in the garage, I have my Adams Polishes limited edition collection bottles. Have 2 rows on the front wall, have some over there, some over on this wall. They fill up quite a bit of the garage. Everybody's like, oh, you use all those? No. It's wall art. It's conversation starters. It's basically all it is. Back in the day, people would collect oil cans or whatever. Well, I've collected Adams Polishes limited detail sprays. They've got some cool ones. They all smell different. They're all different labels. Some of them super hard to find, super rare. Like for example, their 100K bottle, they only made 100 of them. So I was lucky enough to grab one of those. Those at one point were like $1,000 on eBay. Do I have a need to sell all these? No. Like I said, it's wall art, looks cool, people ask questions. That's what it's here for. You can't have a garage without having a TV. So didn't want nothing crazy, did a 50-inch TV, sound bar, underneath the tool bench. I have the Bluetooth sub. One of the main focal points of the garage is the front wall. So when I did the garage out, I did a black front wall. My painter actually talked me into that. He's like, man, the black wall contrast with the gray sides. So make an awesome contrast. So we did the front wall black, kind of gives a little more depth. But on this front wall, one of the things I'm super proud about is I've got all these plaques. The plaques from magazines. I put on a car show, Scraping the Smokies, here in Asheville, North Carolina for 5 years. It would have been 6, but 2008 was right in the middle of that. Companies quit wanting to sponsor, all that kind of stuff. Things were weird in 08 for y'all that remember it. But I just grabbed one magazine, you know, I had trucking, mini trucking, street truck, sport truck, everybody covered it. But I always had the mini trucking article covered or plaqued up for the garage. Looks good across the front. People come in and go, oh, what is that? I remember that show. It's like, yeah, that was mine. No way, that was yours? But that's one of the things on the front wall. Like I said, I also have the 2 4-foot double row LEDs across the front. I even went through and I did the wall black. I changed the plug out to be black with the black surround. Just kind of cleaned the front up a little bit. Over here on this side, I have, if you see the CRX over here, that's actually the car that got me started. That was Booger Bash, I want to say 1995. That was before the splatter paint days. That was the cut springs. Below that, I have the 2 features that my wife's car, it was my girlfriend's car at the time, Red Bottoms WRX. I got both the features from that. One was in Pass Mag, and one was actually in Subi Life that Subaru puts out to all their dealers. So they'd reached out, female-owned custom vehicle they wanted in that, so she has both of those. I also have over here a wall of tags. The bottom 2 were from when we lived in Italy, when I was born over there. My dad's car, can't ever let those go. Rest of it's a bunch of personalized plates I've had. Some of the Grom stuff we had. My wife's Gixxer 750 tag, when she sold it, I kept it. All the personalized tags, you've got the Mazda Protege 5 that I had. You had Project Decade, Project Dark Earth. Then you have Under Budget, that was the trailer for Dark Earth. I had Pumpkin Spice, which was my buddy Chris Tryon's Tundra that I was heavily involved in the build, so he brought me one of the tags. Once I sold a few vehicles, I had a car forever known as Not for SEMA, because everybody's like, oh, you're building that for SEMA. It's like, no, this one's not for SEMA, so the tag said Not for SEMA. Got the wife's Red Bottoms tag off her Subaru, of course, Cranberry. EcoBuilt was the first Maverick I had. I've technically had 3 of them. I had one, flew to Boston, drove it back, had it for 6 weeks. Dealer gave me way more than what I paid for it, so I had to let that go. But I had it long enough to get the personalized tag in, so that's hanging here. I have a Rowdy Wagon, which is still, hands down, my favorite vehicle that I've ever owned. The Audi RS6 Avant. Had it tuned. It was like 600 something horsepower to the ground at all 4. Beautiful car. Still probably my favorite one. While I had that, I had my daily SQ5, because at the time it was my daily. And then for the Sierra and then the golf cart trailer, I had street trucks on both of them for a while or so while I was running street trucks. Once that was over, changed things out. Stockish, you know, my Sierra, just sold it. Of course, my dad's Sea Drifter tag. Have to keep that. That's actually what his boat was named. So that kind of, you know, got to keep that in the garage. I actually have a Burrell drive from my dad's old house where he lived in Virginia. And then on this wall, one of the cool things is being I work out of the garage, I have these couple pictures that my mother-in-law got me for Christmas. Me, and then Fred is my assistant. So you got to have that. Fred's always out here. Y'all that follow me online know that he's always out here. So I also have all my SEMA signs. Every year that I've had a vehicle at SEMA, I've bought one of their signs. When I did the first one in 14, I thought it was a one and done, had to buy it. When I did 15, I was like, all right, well, this won't happen again, and it did. So I have signs from 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, I did the garage, which is where this came about, 19, 21, of course 20 they didn't have it. I didn't have one in 22, I didn't have a vehicle there, so I didn't do the plaque. Then I had the Sierra in 23 and the Subaru in the Tahoe in 24. It was the wife's, so I get them mixed up. Subaru, Tahoe, they both look the same, right? I also have the Hot Rod Power Tour official long hauler for a year ago. I did the Power Tour with some friends. Such an awesome experience. Now to the other side of the garage, that's the business side. We have the party side and then the business side. It's almost like a mullet in here, but no mullet here. So on this side, I have, this is my detail area of the shop. I have the Blue Clean 630 TSS. I also have the 100-foot roll of the Cobra Jet hose on a Cox reel. all wired in. We actually tapped in, had a buddy come in, we tapped in. I have hot and cold water for this. So if it's cold out or needing hot water for something, tap right in. Have a little spot where I hang all the brushes. Also have a bucket fill hose in here so I don't have to go out to the spigot outside. Straight off the water heater. You know, of course, you got to have your shop vac, all your buckets. Garage won't be a garage without the seat. If you go back to look at one of my recent videos, I did an unboxing of this. Check it out, the Adams Polishes Viper chair. This wall, I have the Adams air cannon. Makes a big difference blowing stuff out of the crevices, out of the grills, wheels, that kind of stuff. My polisher wall, got to keep everything on the, you know, hung up out of the way. Like I said, this is the working side. So I have a few trophies on top of the water heater from some of the vehicles we've built. A lot of the ones here on top of this were some of mine, some were the wife's. But down here on the other end, I actually have more trophies on this end. So as you can see, I've got two of the Craftsman 6-foot cabinets. Red and black ties into the theme. I have one of the Craftsman toolboxes that ties into everything. Funny part, y'all that follow me a while have known this, but I actually had all this on the front wall when we had the Subaru, because I built this when we had the Subaru. So I put all that on the front wall. Well, when I ordered cranberry, I started measuring and realized it wouldn't fit. It was too long for this little of a garage. Did some measurements, figured out what's what, shifted everything from that wall over here. That's why the TV was over the workbench at one time. That's why there's a double row of lights. So there's 8 foot of light that was over what would have been the workbench. Well, now that I've moved the workbench over here, I just put the light on the wall, which mirrors the light on the wall on the other side of it. All right, no shop would be complete without an air compressor. Of course, I went with the Craftsman again. It ties into everything I have in the garage. Don't use it that much, but when I do, it's handy to have. You don't have to reel something out, just plug into it. Got the hose on the wall over here, plug into it, use what I need. For the most time for cars and stuff, I use the air cannon because it spits out heated filtered air, where that is just air compressor air. But there's times you need for tires, that kind of stuff, I have it. You know, you got to have a stool, thanks to Memphis Audio, that's helped me out quite a bit. Got a stool from them, stuffed under the workbench here. Like I said, this is a 6-foot Craftsman workbench. In this is all my cleaning stuff. I've got all my polishing pads in this one. I keep all my polishing pads together, keep them away from, you know, sitting out in the dust, collecting stuff where it'd get metal shavings or dust or whatever in the pads. Keep them closed up in the drawer. This drawer I have a lot of my interior cleaning stuff, brushes, dog hair combs, other brushes, window towels, interior towels, some waterless wash towels. You go down another drawer, I've got all my coating pads, my tire dressing pads. Yeah, there's a lot of options when people do these, but I wind up picking these up off Amazon. I burn through them pretty quick, so cheap's fine. Allows me to spray the tire dressing or the coating, depending on which one it is. Keep them here, and like I said, I burn through them pretty quick. This drawer, this is my drawer. This doesn't see any customers' cars. This doesn't see anything that's really dirty. These towels are color coded for show vehicles. These were actually used with cranberries when I bought them. Then I used them on Stockish, and now I use them on Basic Betty, the Tahoe. So I always use orange for the initial detail spray, white to wipe the haze off of it, red always touches the wheels. This way here I don't ever touch something that's had crazy brake dust on it and wipe a hood with it and scratch it. Even though I wash them, they're clean, I inspect them every time I put them back to make sure there's no particles stuck to it that would scratch anything. I still don't mix those up on purpose. So you always know that red is only on wheels. So if you go to grab that, in my mind, I'm not going to wipe across a painted surface with those. Certain drying towels for those show, quote unquote, show vehicles. That's what that drawer is. This drawer is full of all the towels for customers' vehicles and stuff. Thick, good microfiber towels, drying towels. I usually burn through this drawer in a day or two of detailing. So of course these all get washed together. Don't have to worry about mixing them up with clothes and getting chemicals on clothes or what. They all get washed together with the correct detergent. I use rags to riches to wash it, so it's made for towels like this. All right, moving over here. Now we've got the toolbox. Of course, the top usually keeps junk, chargers, that kind of stuff, gloves, drills. But when you go through it, you know, just like anything, it's got to have organization. Everything in my life is organized. I've got connectors, screws, bolts, everything's separated. But then when you get into the tools, everything's organized, it has its own place. I don't believe in that, let's throw everything in a bucket, let's throw everything in a drawer, and you're like, oh, I need a 3/4 inch socket for a 1/2 inch drive. Let me dig for it. Nope, everything's labeled, everything's marked. The ratchets for these sockets are in here. The ratchets for the bigger sockets are in here. Everything's got its place. Same thing, screwdrivers, they all have their place. Phillips head, biggest to smallest. Flatheads, biggest to smallest. Don't have to worry about that. Get in here, wrenches have their own place. Same thing, more open-end wrenches, crescent wrenches, panel poppers, pliers. Everything has to have a place in my world. When I use something, I put it back where it goes. I'm a firm believer of making sure everything's clean when it goes back. I don't ever want to go grab a wrench for something and it be greasy and nasty from the last job. So, I mean, yeah, I'm not a true mechanic. People said I don't turn wrenches, but I have what I need to turn the wrenches I need. I know my limits. I'm not out here trying to rebuild an engine. I'm not out here trying to fabricate something. I know my limits, but the stuff I do, I need certain tools and I have those, so that's not a problem. All right, one of the things that I use more than anything in the garage is my cleaning cabinet. Sits here next to the garage door. It's easy to access if I'm outside in the driveway detailing. As you can see, I'm just as organized with this as I am my tools. I keep the gallon behind whatever the spray bottles are. Once the spray bottles get empty, I go through and refill them. So then I'm not trying to figure out, okay, well, where's the interior detailer spray? I got to refill this bottle, dig through another cabinet. I keep everything behind where it needs to go. I have a couple different, actually 3 different foam cannons. One is my main soap foam cannon. This one is for my rinse aid, for stuff that's been coated, that's in for maintenance or whatever. I use this one so I don't ever mix up the chemicals, and I have one on the bottom that I use for strip wash when I'm fully clay barring one, polishing one, stripping one down to coat and bring back to life. The strip wash is in a separate one, so I'm never mixing chemicals. If I don't use all of it, just like this, didn't use all of it, still has a little bit left, so the next job I'm not wondering what chemicals in here. I know that one's got the mega foam in it. I don't ever have to worry about that. None of my stuff's mixed up, so like I said, everything stays organized in this cabinet, closed, out of the way. It's not just a bunch of stuff collecting dust on a cabinet. Being I have the raised deck flooring, sometimes using jack stands or a regular floor jack may cut into the tiles. It's just the nature of it being a plastic tile like that. So you got to drag out pieces of like plywood or something to set everything on. Well, I have something that's a little easier than that. So I have one of the quick jacks 7500 sitting in the corner. As you can see, it don't take up much room at all. You have both the quick jack pieces. You have the pump for it, and I have the hoses hanging on the wall over here on a hook, but I can store it there, throw underneath the vehicle, lift the vehicle, don't have to worry about safety being underneath it. I'd love to have a 2-post and a 4-post lift in here, but with the 19x22, kind of don't have that option, but this gets the vehicles high enough. We've changed out exhaust. We've changed out suspension in here. I've done maintenance underneath vehicles, changed oil on vehicles, changed brakes on vehicles. Gets it high enough off the ground. Perfect fit for a garage like this. You don't have to have a big lift. Something like that tucks right in the corner. That's all you need. I also threw one of the retractable extension cords here. Had an electrician come in. I got a plug over here and a plug over there. We added both on a 20 amp circuit. Don't have to worry about the air cannon popping a 15 amp circuit. It does get hot, does draw a lot of power. So by having those, I got everything right here at the door. I don't have to worry about running extra extension cords. I can plug here, run the vacuum outside, whatever I need to do, or retractable cord. I can do that. So much easier than trying to tie up extension cord everywhere. A couple years ago, I went through and insulated over the garage. Like I said, when I built the garage, I had no intentions on using the garage like I do now. It was just going to be storage. Might have parked the wife's car in here. At the time, she had one. I had my big truck, which would never fit in here. So, like I said, when I went through a couple years ago, insulated over this, which is something we didn't do when we built it. Luckily, I have access over it through the attic, so I insulated it, made that a little warmer. But I also insulated the garage door. We just had a builder grade garage door when we built this house. Went through and did the double wall, insulated garage, added the windows. For one, it adds a little more curb appeal out front, but it also lets a little light in. If you're just walking in the garage to grab something, you have a little light. One of the things that is cool about this garage door is right before I got the door, I linked up with Garage Door Lighting. They wanted to showcase one of their products on my garage door. I knew I was changing the garage door out, so I didn't put it on the old door. I waited till I got this one in. So with their kit, I have 4 different rows, because there's 4 panels in this garage door. I have 4 different rows of all LED lighting. So it's wired over here on this side. All of it's wired together. And when it runs up, there's a connector on the top that bolts to the top of the garage door that when the track runs open, it actually comes over here and connects to the track. So once that makes connection, those lights light up. So even though the garage door is covering 3 4-foot rows of lights, it still creates light. Not only does it work if you're working in the garage in the evening, you have the door open during the summer or whatever, but even coming home from the store or whatever, open the door, it's not just your standard one light in the opener. It creates a lot more light in here. It's safer. I don't have to worry about, the wife coming home at night and it being dark or something. It really lights the garage up. And then when you close the door, it automatically turns off until it's open and connected again. One of the things I'm excited to showcase in the garage when people come in, I have plaques of some of my features. My office has a whole bunch, of course, but I'm completely tapped out of my office. Every wall, top to bottom, side to side, is full of plaques and covers I've shot and stuff that is automotive related in the office. Well, out here, I have my cranberry cover that I shot this in Vegas in 2019 when I had this there for SEMA. Shot that. Then I had Damian Davis, can't even say his name right today, shoot this for All Time Low magazine. So those proudly hang in the garage. Then over here, I've got the Dub magazine feature that Brian McGee shot. This was actually also shot at SEMA in 2019. This was like 2 o'clock in the morning behind Hard Rock. Friends were falling asleep in the parking lot. It was rough that night, but that lets me showcase that in the garage. The ability to have all this in a garage that's mine, I still use it on a regular basis, whether I'm detailing my stuff, whether I'm tinkering on one of my builds, whether it's a client's vehicle. Like when I'm recording this, the next 3 days, I've got back-to-back clients in here detailing, coating, polishing, whatever. This is big enough for what I need. I've got friends that have massive 40 by 60, 60 by 100 shops, but I'd love to have that, don't get me wrong, but you don't need something big to have a cool garage and be able to use it. I'm literally in here every day. I probably spend more time in the garage. We actually had the garage done before we ever did the back deck. We did a cover back deck and everything last year, but because we're never out back. People come over, we're always in the garage, in the driveway, because it's 9 times out of 10 car-related conversation, that kind of stuff. So that keeps us in the garage. So don't think that you have to have a big, massive shop with lifts and air tools and all that stuff laying around. You don't have to. If you're just tinkering here or there, weekend warrior like I am, this is fine. You can use the garage in your house, whether it's a 1-car garage, 2-car garage. I hope this gives you guys some ideas on what you can do to dress up your garage, to add a workstation to your garage, to add the entertainment side to the garage, to add wall art. If you want to keep stuff clean, put together, to be able to do that, it makes it more inviting. So then you're actually having fun. You know, people come by the garage. You can sit and just hang out in the garage, whether you're on the Adams Viper chair, hanging out here. If I'm in here working, people come by all the time. Sit, talk, BS, have a beer, whatever you want to do. So if you want to get your garage dialed in, have any questions, let me know. I'm glad to help out with where stuff came from or where I got it, how I found it. I do a ton of research, so putting something like this together was fun. I have people like Rad Garage up in Canada, which is actually one of the reasons I wanted to do this video, because watching his stuff, I love his garage setup. And he's got one that's a little bigger than mine. He's got, you know, a couple little coves and stuff in the garage, little kick out areas that I don't have. But he does the same thing. He details in it, but he actually washes in his. That's my goal for my next house. I want something that I can wash in, which of course I'll probably do something different on the walls than just sheetrock. I'll probably space thing out, have a dedicated side for just washing where I'm not spraying plaques and lights and that kind of stuff. But that's the one thing I can't do in here. Forgot to mention, I also have a mini split. Added that a couple years ago. I dealt with the heat, dealt with the cold. In the winter times, I'd set a little ceramic heater up in the corner and, you know, let it run all night to keep stuff from freezing. I actually went to Vegas with my daughter for a few days, and it was 108 degrees every day I was in Vegas. It was July. I knew it was gonna be hot, cool, whatever. It's hot, crazy hot. Come back home the next day back, I was detailing a car. It was hotter in my garage than it was any time we was in Vegas. Immediately called my buddy and said, I need a mini split right now. So with this mini split, it does heat, air, and dehumidifier. So if it's crazy humid or whatever, vehicles are fogging over, once I bring them in, try to dry them off, I can turn it on dry mode. It kind of pulls some of the moisture out of the air. It works. I don't really set it real high in the wintertime. Even if it's set at 60, it's still, even if it's 12 degrees outside, it's not going to get 12 in here. It may get to the 40s while that thing's still running, but I don't have to worry about chemicals freezing or none of that stuff. In the summertime, you know, even with the door open, because a lot of vehicles are too big to work around them with the door closed. So if I have the door open, I'll just, you know, crank the air conditioner down to, you know, 60 or whatever. Even though it may be 80, 85 in the garage, you're walking around, that air's still blowing. You know, you always try to go to this side of the vehicle on occasion, try here at the workbench. So if you're, you know, checking an email or, you know, changing out a chemical bottle, you know, sprayer broke or something, then you still get that cool air. Now, if I close the door, I can turn it down and get it, you know, 60, 70 degrees in here. Perfect. But most of the time I have the door open when it's not too hot or too cold and still using it. So this garage works for me. Hope you guys enjoyed the tour. If you see anything you want more questions on, comment down below, let me know. Also, make sure you follow my Modified Rides podcast page. Also have a YouTube page where all the podcasts, the video versions are posted. Also have it available on all your favorite podcast apps. We're on Instagram, Facebook. Got some cool automotive related guests. I've actually recorded a couple episodes in the garage. Worked out great. So give Modified Rides podcast a follow as well, and see you on the next video.